Hello students, Chemistry Rights team once again happily welcomes you for the NTA NEET discussion Mark 89 Chemistry. So let's go into the very first question. Which of the following violates half-bar principle? So for violating half-bar principle, it should have not filled as per the energy order. So here the option D, 2s is not completely filled, but before that the 2p is also filled here. So therefore what we can say is that violates half-bar principle. Whereas in the option C, the 2s, both the electrons are kept it in the same spin. The Pauli's exclusion principle says no two electrons can have the same set of spin, so in the same orbit also. So therefore it violates the Pauli's exclusion principle. So after filling of 2s, here 2p is filled, and here also after 2s the 2p is started to fill. So therefore these two obeys half-pass principle. And then second question, which of the following has the shortest carbon-carbon bond length? So the carbon-carbon bond length is known to us already. The carbon-carbon single bond will be very higher, next double bond, next carbon-carbon triple bond, and in C6H6 benzene the bond length is intermediate between carbon-carbon single bond and then carbon-carbon double bond. Whereas C2H4 contains only carbon-carbon double bond, whereas C2H2 ethane contains a triple bond. Therefore I will say this is, since containing a triple bond, this is the minimum or shortest bond length, and therefore it must be option C. C2H6 contains only a single bond, and that should be greater in carbon-carbon bond length. Third question, BR, the same question we have also observed in last NTA 88 questions also. The same question is again repeated here. CH3, CH2, CH2Br, when it reacts with the CN, cyanide, Ag is covalent, AgCN is binded with carbon in a covalent way. So the nitrogen will be free with a lone pair, so that attacks this CH2 and there will be a Br minus. So therefore the nitrogen attacks carbon plus. So therefore it forms a NC compound, and that will be the compound X. And this NC, upon further hydrolysis in the presence of alkaline medium, it happens reactions this way, additions, H plus and then OH minus, two water molecules is added this way. So HCOOH from this side, on the other side NH2. So therefore the options that it exactly matches here is A, CH3, CH2, CH2, NH2. Question number 4. The oxidation state of molybdenum is asked for by giving some compound. So therefore molybdenum, I'm assuming it as X, so there are 2X, and then 4 into oxo complex, so it is -2, and then ammonia it is going to be 0. So plus 0 equal to -2. Actually here only one ammonia is there, so we can write even 1 instead of 2. So whatsoever it is the number, it is anyways going to be 0. That in turn equals to -2, and therefore we are confirming it that X equal to 3. So that fourth option finds B as the answer. And fifth question, when a standard solution of NaOH is left in air for a few hours, what is going to happen? So NaOH, we all know it absorbs water, therefore the substance is called as deliquescent substance. So therefore when it starts to absorb water, so the concentration of NaOH which is going to be decreasing. So therefore the fifth option, take the strength of the solution, which is grams per liter, that is going to be decreasing. Question number 6. Out of these, which are the correct match is asked for. So the Bayes method is not applicable to sodium carbonate. In fact, the sodium carbonate or sodium bicarbonate is related to Solvay's process, not Bayes process. Actually, the Bayes process is leaching of alumina from the bauxite ore, Al2O3. And copper matte, which is Cu2s and Fes, that's a correct match. So I feel the sixth one answer is B for it. And Van Arkel method is not for AGI. It is for titanium or zirconium purification. Thomas slag, generally we call calcium phosphate as a Thomas slag. So therefore sixth one, option B. Seventh question, a bottle of cold drink contains 200 milliliter liquid, and in that the carbon dioxide concentration is 0.1 molar, and what is the volume of the CO2 dissolved in that is asked for. So we may say from the given data, molarity formula is used. Molarity is 0.1, number of moles by volume of solution in milliliter. So therefore in order to convert into liter, I am multiplying by 1000 milliliter per liter in the numerator, so that I am getting the number of moles present is 10 power minus 2 moles. So we know 1 mole of CO2 is going to occupy 22.4 liter. So 2 into 10 power minus 2 mole is going to occupy how much liter? So therefore that is resulting as 0.448 liter. So therefore we may say 7th as B as the answer. 8th question, which of the following reagents can convert alkyl halide into alkane? So this is a reducing agent that gives hydrogen. So therefore this tributyl or tin halide or SN, tin hydride is going to give hydrogen. So that is going to provide a hydrocarbon. And sodium in the presence of dry ether, which is a free radical mechanism, Wood's reaction, and that is also resulting in hydrocarbon. Gilman reagent R2CaLi, so that is also giving rise to alkane. So almost all the alkyl halides are taken from ABC reagents are converted into alkanes. So therefore it is option D, all of this. Question number 9, correct statement is asked for. So fluorine is higher dissociation energy than chlorine. Actually it is a wrong statement. Many of us will think it is a correct, but kindly refer to group 17 NCERT. Chlorine, bromine, fluorine, iodine is the correct order. So this is a very important exception. So you may find often this is getting tested by NTA. So the chlorine, bromine, fluorine, iodine is the order. So therefore when you compare with the fluorine and chlorine, chlorine gets a very higher, because fluorine is getting somewhat less value than chlorine and bromine. That is because of inter-electronic repulsions that happens between fluorine and fluorine, because two fluorine has got F bond, and in that fluorine bond there are 6 electrons surrounding the fluorine, even another 6 electrons surrounding the fluorine. So automatically when the 6 fluorine are surrounding, then there will be a heavy repulsions between these 3 electrons and then these 3 electrons. So that causes greater repulsions, so that the bonds can be easily cleaved, so that the fluorine is not going to have a higher dissociation energy. Instead it is going to have a very, very low dissociation energy. And when compared to fluorine, chlorine, because of compact size, again fluorine, the added electron finds from the repulsion or suffers from the repulsion. So therefore the electron affinity values are going to be slightly higher for chlorine than for fluorine. Even you can compare the values also from your NCERT. For chlorine it is around minus 349, whereas for fluorine it is around minus 329 kilojoule per mole in terms of kilojoule per mole. So this is the the electron affinity values. HF is strong acid than HCl. Actually down the group, HI bond dissociation energy is decreasing. H plus can be easily given. So therefore the HI will have a more acidic character, and this will have a high bond energy. So HF is not going to be a stronger acid. Only the HI is going to be stronger acid, then HCl, then HF. So therefore C is also appears to be incorrect, but boiling point increases down the group in halogens, because fluorine, chlorine, bromine, iodine, if you go for iodine, there will be an increased molecular mass. So the increased molecular mass results in the increase of van der Waals force of attractions. When the van der Waals force of attraction is very high, so the boiling point is also increasing. So therefore I find this D option. So this is what is correct. 10th one, equivalent mass of KMnO4 in acidic, strongly basic, and then neutral medium are in the ratio of, we know in acidic it transforms into Mn plus 2, so therefore the electron is 5. In basic medium it is 1 electron as it transforms into MnO4 2 minus, and in neutral medium 3 electrons is the n factor, or MnO2 it gets transformed. So taking the ratio of equivalent weight, molecular weight anyways 158 by 5, 158 by 3, 158 by 1. So I am simplifying it as 1 by 5 and then 1 by 1 and then 1 by 3. So again what I must do here is, let me say I am multiplying this by 5. If I multiply by 5, then 1 into, or 1 is to 5 is to 5 by 3. Again I am multiplying by 3, so that if I multiply by 3, then 3, 15, and then 3 gets cancelled, 5. So 3 is to 15 is to 5. It is, I'll say, if you are not thinking correctly, you may end up with answer as A or B. So do not go for a fast calculation. Always be cautious when you go for this one. Okay. Question number 10, option D. Question number 11. AgCl on fusion with the sodium carbonate that is going to provide a sodium chloride and silver carbonate, and silver carbonate undergo thermal decomposition, and that in turn gives Ag plus carbon dioxide plus oxygen. Only the residue left out is silver. Even this is a very important questions in stoichiometric also, chemical calculations involving basic concepts of chemistry. So the 11th one is finally it gives silver because the formed product on fusion the temperature will be very high, it further undergoes decomposition. You may go for thinking a, but that is not the case because it further undergoes decomposition and resulting in Ag. And question number 12, C6H5CH2COOH, in the presence of ammonia it forms COO minus NH4 plus. When it forms COO minus NH4 plus, P2O5 is a very good dehydrating agent. It removes water. So from here 2 hydrogen, from here is 1 oxygen if you remove, that is going to convert into CONH2. Then again the removal of further water converts into cyanide 1. So therefore option C appears to be the correct one for 12th one. 13th, which of the following compounds does not produce oxyacids of central atom on hydrolysis? So option B, NCl3 on hydrolysis produces NH3, which is not an oxyacids at all. So therefore 13th one, option B. SO4, PCl5, BF3, if all these compounds are undergoing hydrolysis, it produces one of the oxyacids. Like BF3 can produce oxyacids like H3BO3, SO4 can produce H2SO4 or H2SO3, PCl5 can produce H3PO3 or H3PO4. So accordingly the oxyacids will be produced, whereas in the case of NCl3 there is no such possibilities, only hydrides is produced. And then 14th question, the equilibrium constant for the reaction is given RNH2 plus H2O giving rise to RNH3 plus plus OH minus, and partial pressure of amine at equilibrium is given. Since the state is here gaseous, liquid, aqueous and aqueous, we may say initially the partial pressure of amine as Kc expression can be written as RNH3 plus OH minus by RNH2. So partial pressure of amine at equilibrium is given 0.5. So at equilibrium, if this is 0.5, let's say we are not sure what is the equilibrium concentration of RNH3 plus and OH minus. Let us take it as X and X here. So we will substitute here, we will identify what is Xs. So X obtained here is 2 into 10 power minus 3, and Kc is given, which is 8 into 10 power minus 6. So substituting that here, we may get X square by 0.5. We can write 0.5 as 1 by 2, so that we can easily say 4 into 10 power minus 6, 2 into 10 power minus 3. So the excess, the concentration of OH minus, they are asking for the POH of the solution. So POH equal to 3 minus log 2, therefore that is going to be 2.7, option A. Question number 15. Consider the following reaction, and they are asking you to take the incorrect statement. So with this zinc and HNO3 dilute, we know from our P block reactions that with dilute HNO3 there will be N2O, laughing gas that is neutral in nature, will be produced, whereas with concentrated HNO3, hot and concentrated, NO2 will be produced, and therefore the reaction is here N2O. So for that it gives a neutral solutions because N2O is basically neutral. That is a correct statement. It contains more oxygen than air. We must go for calculating the percentage oxygen for N2O. There is 1 oxygen and the molecular weight is 44 into 100, that gives 36.6% of oxygen, whereas in air only 20% of air is present. So therefore it contains more oxygen than air. That is also correct statement. NO forms a ring, brown ring with ferrous sulfate solution. Actually N2O is not going to form a brown ring with ferrous sulfate solution. Only which is going to form is NO is going to form. So therefore option C appears to be incorrect, and that is correct here. So none of this is also not correct here. So which is, we may say it is a kind of C is matching. C, 16th, isobutene into isobutyl alcohol. This is an isobutene. So iso group are here. So the isobutene is converted into isobutyl alcohol. The final product says that the OH is added in such a way it follows anti-Markovnikov rule. So therefore we may say all this hydrogen, acid catalyzed hydration, and even here also hydration, these two are following Markovnikov rule, whereas hydroboration oxidation, which is not obeying Markovnikov, instead it obeys anti-Markovnikov rule. So therefore B, all of this also is not correct. So the incorrect statement regarding X in given reaction, and many times we are observing from boron family there is more questions on diboron. So please make sure, even in previous NEET discussions in our video also I've talked about more about this particular one. Again, I'm for your reference, it is giving up here, just go through it and find out the answer of this one. Okay, give a pass and then find out. I think so already I made this statement in my previous videos also. You can refer to the previous video and get it done. So we'll go for next question. Sodamide is treated, sodamide with ammonia, and this hydrogen is so acidic, so therefore the hydrogen will be replaced by Na plus, and there will be a substitution reactions. Na and Br will remove as NaBr, so that the CH2 gets added, so it results in hex 2 ine. So the hex 2 ine is appeared in product A. Okay, the product B here is option A. And question number 19, 1 mole of methanol when burnt in oxygen gives out 723 kilojoule per mole of heat. So we need to understand now what is the combustion reaction of methanol and how many oxygen is used for 1 mole of methanol. So I told you very clearly even in my previous videos how to balance the equations. So here methanol, okay, it's treated with oxygen, that combustion reaction produces carbon dioxide and then water. So there are 1 carbon, so 1 carbon and 4 hydrogens here, so I will write 2, so to make it 4 hydrogens. Count number of oxygens on the right side. So how many oxygens you get is here 2 oxygen and here 2 oxygen, totally 4 oxygens are appeared. So therefore we may say already 1 oxygen is already present in methanol, only 3 oxygen has to come. So if I write here 3, that becomes 3 into 2, 6 oxygen. So if I divide by 2, that becomes 3 oxygen. So that here 3 oxygen will become like this. Okay, so 1 oxygen, 3 oxygen, 2 plus 2, 4 oxygens. So we came to know that 1 mole of methanol is reacting with 3 by 2 mole of oxygen, which means merely 3 by 2 mole of oxygen is releasing 723 kilojoule per mole. So then what will be the case for 1 mole of oxygen? So 1 mole of oxygen releases how much kilojoule per mole? Cross multiply it, you are going to get 482 kilojoule per mole. Next, 19th question. When HCl is titrated with the sodium hydroxide conductometrically, what is the graphical representation of the titration? Let us go for a little imagination. Let's say HCl and NaOH is reacting, and I have taken a NaOH in a burette and the HCl is added in a flask, let's say. And when you add NaOH to the HCl, initially there will be a neutralization, NaCl and water will be formed, and you are also adding a phenolphthalein as an indicator. Initially the conductivity will be very high for HCl because H plus shows always greater conductivity due to electron transfer mechanism. So therefore initially the conductivity would have been peak. But when you start adding NaOH to the HCl slowly, the NaOH and HCl gets neutralized, the concentration of H plus decreases. When the concentration of H plus decreases, conductivity decreases. So therefore initially it must be very high and slowly it should decrease. Okay, that option what is observed here is as of now is A and C. But after this NaOH gets neutralizing all the HCl, there will be an excess NaOH. That excess NaOH will increase the concentration of OH minus. That will again increase the conductivity. It is not going to bring it as constant. So here it is constant, but again there is a point and again it starts to increase. So there is a decrease as well as there is an increase. So I will say this point as an equivalence point. This is the point at which both acids and bases gets neutralized. So we may say that as equivalence point. So option A, option B and option D we can nullify because initially there should be a very high, but initially there are values very low in both the cases. So therefore I'm just neglecting these two graphs. And then next we will go for question number 21. Which of the following effects are possible in orthonitrophenol? In orthonitrophenol, over here you have got a minus I and it is also got a minus R effect. So therefore 21 is almost all the effect. It has also got minus I, minus R, and there is an intramolecular hydrogen bonding here. So all the three plays a major role. So all of this. An angular momentum has dimensions of, we may say it's a Planck's constant because angular momentum formula can be written as mvr equal to nh by 2 pi. N is also constant, pi is also constant. So therefore the angular momentum takes the unit of Planck's constant. So the Planck's constant is joule second, 6.626 into 10 power minus 34 joule second. We can also say even as ergs second, and all these are various ways of confusing you in examination. Make sure you apply your physics, what you learnt, units and dimensions, and from that you try to apply it. Okay, and it can be written as Newton meter 1 joule, and 1 pascal is Newton per meter square. So therefore Pascal meter cube is simply we can say it is a Newton meter, because Pascal meter cube can be written as Newton meter per meter square, and then m power minus 3. So therefore what we can say is it gives finally Pascal plus meter cube. So it is going to give you the Newton meter, that gives in turn joule. Okay, Newton per meter square power m power 3. So it should be m power 3. So find out what should be there. So Newton meter. So 1 Newton meter must be joule. So we'll make it as Pascal meter cube. And then kilogram meter square s power minus 2 is the unit for a joule, and then s power minus 1 it becomes. Therefore this is a joule and this is a second. So these are all the various ways of expressing the unit of the Planck's constant. So question number 23, the oxidation state stability is determined by in aqueous solutions mainly by the all these factors, like the solid to gas conversion will happen and gas to aqueous conversion will happen. So the energy spent or atomization enthalpy or sublimation enthalpy for this. Then removal of electrons, so the energy needed is ionization energy, and the next one is hydration energy. So almost all of these are utilized for it. So therefore option D appears to be the correct one. And 24, insulin is dissolved in a medium, and I'll categorize this question as little hard or difficult. So go through meticulously again, once again. And they have given here, they played a majorly with the unit. So the osmotic pressure pi at gram or at C gram per centimeter cube, and concentrations, the concentration is given in terms of gram per milliliter. Centimeter cube can be considered as a milliliter. So and temperature is given 300 Kelvin. The slope of plot pi versus C is given 4.1 into 10 power minus 3. So the molecular mass of the insulin is asked for. So the molecular mass of the insulin, before we are identifying it, let's take the osmotic pressure equation. Pi equal to CRT, and pi equal to, we can write it as NVRT. So and we may take this V to the other side, pi V nRT. So then we may say weight by molecular weight as number of moles, and another side it is volume if it is not in milliliter. So here I have to numerator multiply by 1000. So I'm bringing the 1000 to the denominator here. So pi equal to weight by volume, which is density, and then RT by molecular weight into 1000. So therefore they have given weight by volume, which is concentration gram per milliliter. So that as C. So I'm taking this as C now. This is not a concentration, that is weight osmotic pressure pi at C gram per cc. So then when you try to plot pi versus C, then y equal to mx plus mx format. So this will be the slope 1000 RT by molecular weight, and therefore that slope is equated to 4.1 into 10 power minus 3. So then what we can say here is that the W by V, as I said here, it is converted into C, and 4.1 into 10 power minus 3 from the slope value we got, and from there we can identify the molecular weight as 6 into 10 power 6. So that option B is matching. Here, since it is given in centimeter cube, 1 liter equal to, we know 1000 centimeter cube. So 1 centimeter cube equal to 10 power minus 3 liter. So since volume is in centimeter power minus 3, so we have to take it into 1 by 1000 liter. So therefore 1 by 1000 can be written as 1000 on the numerator when you write it here. So that's what is done over here. The substitution is made. Okay. And next is question number 25. Two isomeric ketone, pentan 3-one and pentan 2-one, how it can be distinguished. So iodine NaOH only, because it contains methyl ketone and it gives a positive iodoform test, pentan 2-one, and it forms an addition product. Okay, it forms an addition product. So therefore 25, both A and B appears to be the correct answer. It can be distinguished. And this 26th reaction, It is called as Tischenko reaction, which is a slight modification of Cannizzaro reaction. One will be getting oxidized, the other one will be getting reduced, which is an example of disproportionation reaction. But once it gets converted into carboxylic acids and alcohols, and these two in turn will get hydrated and it forms ester. Okay, there will be a removal of water. So preparation of esters from carboxylic acids and alcohols, or what we call it as Tischenko reaction. So therefore the product is appeared to be an ester. COO minus or COO groups are appeared. So since COO group are appeared, this is, we call it as Tischenko reactions. And then 27, and which of the following layer or play a significant role in depletion of ozone layer. And there are many oxides of nitrogens like N2O, NO2, and then N2O3, N2O4, N2O5. All these are responsible for the depletion of the ozone layer. So 27, I'll say A is the answer. And 28, which of the carbonates of alkali metals has got high thermal stability? So the thermal stability increases down the group for alkali and alkaline earth metals. So therefore this should be the order. So therefore the highest thermal stability is for CCM carbonate. So 28 is A. And 29, efficiency, thermodynamic efficiency is asked for. So thermodynamic efficiency TD can be expressed as delta G by delta H. So delta G is 84% is given. So from that substitute that one and get it what is E naught cell. So NF E naught cell, and E naught cell is appeared to be 1.24 volt. So that option D. And 285 into it is converted, that kilojoule is converted into joules. So for that here 10 power 3 joules has been done. So 96500 coulombs, and joules by coulombs, that's going to be CV. Coulombs into volt is joule, right? So therefore coulomb into volt equal to joule, and then here you get 285 joules, and this is going to be coulombs. J by C is going to be what? So it is going to be volt. So therefore the unit is going to be volt. Question number 30. When pH of the acid solution is diluted to 1000 times, the concentration becomes 10 power minus 9. So immediately your mind may go for calculating the pH as 9, but actually speaking the pH is not equal to 9. Okay, the pH is not going to be equal to 9. So here we may say the concentration of H plus equal to 10 power minus 6. Okay, it is concentration of H plus equal to 10 power minus 6. So the total concentration of H plus, okay, here is given as H plus concentration from water, and then H plus concentration from the acid solutions. Okay, this is how it is calculated. So therefore we may say 10 power minus 7 and then 10 power minus 9. Contribution from water is 10 power minus 7. I'm taking commonly out 10 power minus 7. So therefore it becomes 1.01. So it appears to be 1.01 into 10 power minus 7 finally. So 7 minus log 1.01, that is going to be 6.957. So that option A appears to be the correct one. And 31, the total number of isomers for the aromatic compound C7H8O, and it is a very important one, hydroxy compounds, and it may have a orthophenol, like or it can be an aromatic alcohol, or it can be an ether. So therefore phenol, we may say 3 derivatives, ortho, meta, para. So this is an ortho and meta and then para, and then aromatic alcohols and then ethers, which is called as anisole. So therefore altogether 3 plus 2 5 is the answer. So 31 D appears to be the answer. 32, which of the alkene is the most stable alkene? So stability of the alkene is identified by the number of alpha hydrogens, and here after hiding this carbon-carbon double bond, find out where are the alpha carbons. So these are the alpha carbons. So I've hidden the carbon-carbon bonds. So then automatically I can say this is the alpha hydrogen, or this is an alpha carbon. Here this is an alpha carbon, this is an alpha carbon, or alpha dash. So here this is alpha, this is alpha. So here the alpha hydrogen is appeared to be 6. So you can find the alpha hydrogen is in the first case is 0, no alpha carbon first fall. So therefore no alpha hydrogen. Whereas in the second case we may say 3 hydrogens or 4 hyperconjugative structures. Here it is 3 hydrogens. And in the 3 case 3 plus 3 6. So 7 hyperconjugative structure. Here also 7 hyperconjugative structure. But stability wise and the D is going to be very high because the C shows also a geometrical isomerism, cis-trans isomerism. So the stability may slightly go down. So though C and D both has got a same alpha hydrogen, among C and D we must give priority to D because C exhibits geometrical isomerism. So the stability may go down sometimes because of trans and cis isomers. Cis isomers are less said to be somewhat less stable. So therefore D, C, then B and A is the stability order. And during Micellar formations, what is going to happen? So micellars are actually aggregated particles or clusters in the colloidal solutions that forms by association. In association, the randomness is going to be decreasing. So the delta S is a measure of randomness. But since the randomness is decreasing, delta S is going to be negative. So there are two options with the delta S negative. But at the same time, micellar formation is endothermic one. So therefore, the delta H is endothermic. So 33, the correct options that is matching is D. And 34, the graph between log T half and log A is given. So we know T half equal to A naught power 1 minus n. So taking a log on both sides, we may say it is in the format of y equal to mx. So the slope 1 by n, that is in 10, can be written as tan theta, or theta can be 45. So n equal to 0 order. When we equate the slope to tan theta or tan 45, it is going to be 1. So therefore n equal to 0. So therefore we will say it is a 0 order reaction. Rate is going to be a constant. So whatever the changes you make, it is going to remain constant. So remains constant is appear to be the correct answer. 35, and in the above reactions, ester formation takes place by, there is an alcohol and there is a carboxylic acid, so which gets cleaved. So actually isotopic labeling method suggests us that the acyl oxy cleavage is going to happen. So this is an acyl group and this is an oxy group, and between these two only there will be a cleavage. Okay, so there is an acyl oxy cleavage. Okay, so we may say it is an acyl oxy cleavage and it forms this type of product. If I label this oxygen in a blue one, and that isotopic labeling is appeared in the ester, and the red one is with the alcohols is appeared in the water. So therefore we may come to a conclusion that it is a breaking of OH bond of A and CO bond of B. Okay, which is acyl bond, a CO bond. So therefore this is a CO bond. So therefore that is the cleavage happening. So 35, option C only seems to be a correct matching. And 36, and it is a Hofmann's elimination. So this is a reactions, and in Hofmann's elimination, the base OH minus added is going to abstract one of the hydrogen from here. So when it abstracts here, between these two there will be a double bond, and at the time this 2 electron will be given to nitrogen. So the product formed are CH2 plus water, and therefore the product that is appeared here is major product will be a least stable alkene. So therefore it is B, 36, option B. And 37, CrNH3 Cl3, Cr5NH3, that is not 2, and NH3Cl3. So CrCl6.6NH3 can be expressed as, this way, CrNH3 6Cl3. There are plus 3 charges, and that is neutralized by 3 negative charges, counter ions. So therefore primary valency always refers to oxidation state, and that is satisfied by the negative ions or counter ions. So therefore the plus 3 oxidation state of the chromium is satisfied by 3 chloride ions. And in the second case, CrCl3 5 ammonia, and it can be written this way. Here let's change into NH3, and then it can be represented this way. And when that is expressed this way, then plus 2 is the charge, and it is stabilized by or neutralized by 2 chlorine. But apart from that, one more Cl inside from the entity is also satisfying both primary as well as secondary valency, because only chromium oxidation state is plus 3, but only outside only 2 chloride. So one more chloride from being inside it satisfies. So therefore both the cases, the secondary valency is satisfied by the 5 ammonia and 1 chlorine, and all the 3 satisfy primary valencies in the very first 2 cases. So therefore 37, we may say in both the complex the primary valency is completely, that is to say oxidation state of the metal is completely counterbalanced by chloride ion. 38, in the sequence, which of the following will act as? So CH3 will observe moisture, because we know Grignard reagent must be prepared under anhydrous condition. It is a very important reasoning question, and it forms corresponding hydrocarbons always. So therefore it attacks and it forms corresponding hydrocarbons, and after forming the methane, the A will be CH3C minus MgBr. So this minus attacks on carbon dioxide and it forms the compound something like this, and this compounds with hydrolysis. It is going to produce a carboxylic acids with triple bond, and then MgBrOH, bivalent valency, will be formed. So therefore the 38C appears to be the correct answer. And 39, in Haber process, the rate of disappearance of ammonia is given. The rate of appearance of ammonia is given. Rate of disappearance of N2 and H2 will be is asked for. So the rate law expression can be written as, when N2 is disappearing, we'll say 3 times the hydrogen is appearing. So 3 times it is disappearing, and 2 times ammonia is appearing. So when my rate of disappearance of nitrogen gets equal to the rate of disappearance of hydrogen is when I divide that by 3, because when 1 mole of nitrogen is reacting, 3 moles of hydrogen is reacting. So when 1 equal to 1 only, the hydrogen moles are divided by 3. So that's what is done over here. So 1 by 3, and then same way 1 by 2. So this is the equality in this case. So the equality is taken, and disappearance of hydrogen is calculated, and then disappearance of the nitrogen is calculated, and the options that it matches is exactly B. And 40, period number of group number of tantalum 73. It can be easily remembered. We know 57 to 71 is a lanthanide, which is a 4F series, that is belongs to group 3, and if that is group 3, 72 is group 4, 73 must be group 5. So it doesn't demand much difficulties in understanding. And period is 6, and it is atomic number 55 to 86 follows in the group period 6. So therefore the period number is first asked, then group number. So the period number is 6, 5. So that the 40C takes the correct answer. And 41, which of the following will not form Grignard reagent with magnesium and dry ether? Remember, the vicinal dihalides do not going to form a Grignard reagent. So therefore, because it gives elimination with magnesium. So the reactions are given at the bottom. So almost CH2Br with magnesium does not give. Okay, so therefore it gives CH2 double bond CH2. Over here also, it is going to result in a cyclopropane, and here it is producing an intermediate which is a benzyne. So therefore what is not forms GR is the fourth one. So the fourth options appears to be the correct one. So 1, 2, 3 is will not form, whereas the fourth one will form Grignard reagent. And 42, non-stoichiometric compound Cu 1.8 sulfur is formed, and what is the copper content? Ce2 plus copper content in the total one is asked for. So it is a metal deficiency defect from solid state. So sum of the metal, so we can multiply by 100 or 1000, so that we'll get 180 and 100. We can say something like this, so that I can say, in order to maintain the electrical neutrality, some Cu plus is going to get converted into Ce2 plus. There are 180 Cu plus are there. Out of it, let's say X gets converted into Cu plus 2, and remaining 180 minus X will be Cu plus. So the total positive charge must be 200, because sulfide is minus 2. When sulfide is minus 2, then it has to become minus 200. So here it has to become plus 200. So the total positive charge must be equal to total negative charge. Though it is a metal deficiency defect, it maintains electrical neutrality. So therefore it must be equal to 200. So therefore we are identifying it as X equal to 20 for this kind of stoichiometric formula. And if it is for 1.8, yes, and we may say X equal to 0.2. So therefore 0.2 copper 2 plus out of 1.8 total 1. So the ratio, if you take into 100, that's going to be 11.11%. So therefore 42 is B. And 43, which is an example of Pokin reaction. Even we saw this model in NTA 87 and 88. So you can also go through NTA 77, 87 and 88 discussions what I made. And a very detailed correct option is given based on Pokin reactions. Find out, and if there is a link needed, I can also provide you the link of previous videos what I've done on this one. So NO2 and CHO, there will be an alpha hydrogens. So H2O will be removed as a water molecules, and it will be connected, and then will be followed by water molecules hydration. So it results in a carboxylic acid. So therefore this results in COOH, and the product that it exactly matches is 43D option. And 44, which of the following can act as an electrophile as well as nucleophile? Acetone generally has got a polar nature, or polar structure generally doesn't to act. because we may say any organic compounds in which the electronegativity atom is bonded with a carbon by multiple bonds, that is going to act as electrophile as well as nucleophile. But here in acetone, the oxygen is being more electronegative and it is also bonded with the carbon by multiple bonds. But cyanide is also appears to be the same manner. Nitrogen is more electronegative, carbon is triple bond, but still it cannot act as both electrophile as well as nucleophile. It can only act as a nucleophile. So therefore, the one that acts as an electrophile and nucleophile is acetone. So cyanide is an exception. It can act as only nucleophile. And 45, CCl4 and KOH, which is a modified Riemann-Tiemann reaction. And when you modify this Riemann-Tiemann reaction, that results in CCl3 as the intermediate, unstable intermediate, and that upon hydrolysis again it produces an unstable compound where the 3 chlorine will be replaced by 3 OH, and 2 OH or 3 OH attached to the same carbon is very highly unstable system. It releases water. So when it releases water, it automatically brings to COOH, so that it results into salicylic acid. So the salicylic acid, upon treatment with methanol, esterification will happen. So there will be a formation of ester, so methyl salicylate. It will have a very smelling, and it is a very good a very smelling agent, and it is used very preservatives and other important one. So perfumes, and then even it is acting as a antiseptic and analgesic kind. So oil of wintergreen is the other name what is said for this. So the answer that it matches here is C. So with this NTA 89 paper comes to an end. Please again go through. The days are very shorter, hardly 22 to 23 days are left out. So make sure you revise thoroughly all the sessions. You can also expect very soon another video. What are the top 10 topics which you should focus on for the last another 2 or 3 weeks. Okay. So let's see very soon with another video. Kindly ensure if you like this video, upvote again, excite as always. And if there is any issues, please comment us and try to get your problems done. Try to subscribe and inform to your other friends who are in the preparations of final NEET and JEE. Even for JEE, this particular questions may also find a very important one. So do not think it is only for NEET. Even I'll suggest JEE aspirants also has to utilize all these questions, as all of the NEET questions are nowadays are also in the JEE level. So therefore, I wish with this I'll conclude my sessions. We will end up with another video very soon. And thank you for watching this video again. Visit again always. Get electrified with Chem Steroids team.